Mambo vipi? Hope you're doing well. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And it's also our first video reaction on the channel, so I'm very, very excited. Today we're reacting to Iko Nini podcast. They did a video juicy where Mwafreeka really went in about some of the issues we are facing as a country and possible solutions, which is very interesting to talk about. So, yeah, wacha tusikie.
Kuna video fulani niliduma juzi. Na video yenyewe nilikuwa nasema vile nilikuwa nimejam na Kenya. And I'm still angry na Kenya. So live in a world. Tuna live in a world of, inasema kaga, a white man's world. And kuna kumbuka ngoma ya Morgan Heritage, where is the black man's paradise. Because yes, we live in the world, but it's the white man's world. And why is it the white man's world? Because the white man, to some level, dictates culture, and to some level dictates a lot of stuff that happens. Religion, unacheki, like culture. Tuangalie culture first of all. The white man alikuja akapata Africans, we used to wear short clothes, akatuambia these short clothes are wrong, and we stopped wearing, like our women stopped wearing short clothes. Right now, if an African woman wears short clothes in an African country, she's going to be attacked. If a white woman wears a short cloth in a white country, she's not going to be attacked. Before the 1900s, before the white man came to Africa, that bullshit wasn't there. Women used to wear short skirts. It was not considered being a whore. But saa hizi tumekam, unajua hiyo, like the white man has come na katunini. Then different, inasemekanaga like back in the days, the greatest university in the world ilikuwa the University of Timbuktu. So University of Timbuktu, that level of education, it used to have mathematics, used to have this. So you had the Greeks walikuwa nakuja kustudy hapo, najua, from the Moors, black people. But somehow, I don't know how we lost our history. So after we lost our history, we became these followers that we are. So we just follow things. And some...
Okay, kuna a couple of things zenye Mwafa ameaddress hapo zenye I'd like to get into. One, I think ni a false comparison compare Africa when Mzungu came and before with the codes of decency. Our industries, our codes of ethic, our moralities, based on different foundations, of course, zilikuwa very different. Alikama ka introduce, of course, Christianity, which was the foundation of the moral codes we were to follow now from then, or which we followed from then. But we were very different. And of course, peer cultures adapt over time. Dominant cultures take over non-dominant cultures. So kuna a number of issues to address than just, white man alikama ka introduce this thing which makes us do this thing. I don't think it's a fair comparison there. Now, about the University of Timbuktu, we also have to realize it's also about culture as well, because ilikuwa heavy Muslim influence. Actually, I think it was created by Muslims who came to West Africa. So, hizo shifts over time, Islam, Christianity, lazima pia tuziangalie in that context.
Sometimes you can follow the wrong things. So tukiangalia the way the world is right now, every country in the world has discovered that the only way to create wealth is through scientific development. The only way to create wealth is through scientific development. There is no other way. Utapiga magoti the whole day and pray. Prayer does not work. I'm sorry. Kuna 227 people. I'm sure of these 227, at least 220 pray. Prayer does not work. Prayer is a waste of time. Panguza magoti yako, nothing is going to change. If God already knows what's going to happen tomorrow, you don't need to tell him to change his plans. So that bullshit doesn't work. Now, look at the other countries. Kuna countries kama India that believe in 300,000 gods. This country is developing right now because wame pick up tech. They've, like IT in a place like America. Niko natembea na msee na chiki wa Hindi wakicross maka na mwenje na chiki ma tech support wanapita. That's how much they've embraced tech. India saizi, it's one of the fastest growing economies. Is there extreme poverty also? Yes, there's still extreme poverty. India haijaweza kudeal na hii extreme poverty yake vile another country like China has dealt with it. China in 1985, most cities za China, this is something you can Google, no emotions, no bullshit. Most cities in China by the year 1985 used to look like shit. Then somehow kuna one Chinese who did the visit that I did. Enda Google usikafikiria Mwafa anaongea hii story. Kuna Mchinese mmoja ule alifanyanga a benchmarking trip in the US. He was a leader. I don't know who the fuck his name was. So this leader was a Google. Moja wenyu anaweza Google which leader that was. So he did a benchmarking trip
I think it was Deng Xiaoping. That was the name, Deng Xiaoping.
the US around 1985. Alafu vile alienda China akaambia wale asini ajua mwana hiyo kitu tumeona huko, we have to do it here. And that's how China started investing in scientific research. And that's why right now, as we speak here, there's someone using a Chinese phone. I'm using a laptop assembled in China. The phone that I'm using is assembled in China. Acheki. Most probably hii t-shirt nimevaa is made in China. Hisense, China. Huawei, China. TCL, China. Kenya tuko na nini? You understand? But we have the biggest churches. China literally takes Christians and Muslims. It's illegal to teach a Chinese kid, to introduce Christianity to a Chinese kid as a foreigner. Saizi ukienda Shanghai, uchukue mtoi mdogo wa China, utrai kumfundisha juu ya Jesus Christ, you are ending up in jail. If you don't believe that, endo check what the Chinese are doing to wanaitwa the Uyghurs. Uyghurs wanakuwaga Muslims. There's literally a Muslim camp in China where they are taught how to live religion. That's how much China hates religion. I don't want us to hate religion. I don't want to digress. Let me go back to history of Africa. So Africa.
Okay. Now I don't know what to say about the Uyghur Muslim situation, but I think it's oppressive. I think you're taking people into camps, jailing people for their belief is oppressive. But the other issues zenye Mwafreeka address, which is development of China, development of India. Now the missing context hapo is the impact of culture, because ukiangalia right from progression and you address, which is very valid, universities in Timbuktu, the Greeks, India, China. Now ukiangalia Kenya, India and China, the common denominator hapo is British influence, which of course inakuja with its own cultural aspects, but kuna an evolution of culture. Ukiangalia the way, for example, Greeks were develop and the Muslims, ukiangalia the writings written way back even before Muhammad, they've developed, they came up with algebra. India, of course, wamekuwa na many civilizations. Some that are very, very big. Ukiangalia inaitwa, I think the Gupta era or something like that, because kulikuwa na kingdoms zenye zilikuwa a kingdom which was headed by the Guptas. Na ukiangalia China pia the same thing. China wamekuwa na dynasty over dynasty. I think China is older than Jesus. You know, it's kitu 4,000 years old. Dynasty inapanda, inaanguka, ingine inakama up, inaanguka. So China is not, we cannot look at China as far back as 1985 and think we understand it. China has a very long history of development of kingdoms that were bigger than any other that the world has seen. Kitu ilikuwa inawaseparate tu ni they had not seen the other parts of the world. Na of course pia ukiangalia walikuwa, kuna history of navigation that comes from China. Them becoming so big, they start now to want to understand the world. Basically, my point is, kuna a big impact on culture, and that is the bedrock where all development starts.
Africa, we came, we believe prayer works, but the people who know that prayer doesn't work are the politicians, the rooters of this world. Ruto does not believe in all this bullshit yokuzia. Don't lie to yourself. Uhuru did not believe in that bullshit. Kibaki did not believe in that bullshit, whatever. They might have believed in God, but they never believed in the way you believe. The way una believe ati we need to pray for rain. They know that won't work. They know they need to change the policies. And this is where I talk about focus. I tell you this, like Kenya's biggest problem is corruption. It's not morals. It's corruption. So ile time people bring up morals, like, oh, what are we doing as a society? What's more morally awful than corruption? Where unachukua pesa ya hosi, you spend it for personal wealth, and then people die. You're literally killing people. What's more awful than that? But the average African has been taught like our level of concentration inakuwaga like nikaa inzi. So uko hapa umechill, there's a corruption case ya ilikuwa ni ile kitu inaitwa nini, ilikuwa ni Aurora Amuarera, I think it was 67 billion. Sikia hiyo term, 67 billion shillings could not be accounted for. Eurobond, more than 230 billion shillings could not be accounted for. Haujasikia any politicians bringing that, like, you know what, hizi vitu zilihappen time ya Uhuru, let's try and recover this 300 billion. Let's go back to China. To go back to China. What did China do? After 1985, China decides we are going to go the scientific way. But as we go the scientific way, another thing that China decided was corruption is going to be punishable by death. What happened to China? Saizi tuna borrow from China. You see, sisi bado tuko kwa magoti. The Chinese don't believe in gods. The Japanese don't believe in gods. The don't believe in gods. So hii bullshit here, you have to believe in something. It's nonsense. It depends with where you're born. Buddha is not a god. It's a way of life, that kafat dude. But if, let's say the kafat dude is God, then is the six-pack Jesus still God? Like, which one are we? But this is not even about religion. But it's about...
Okay. Now, personally, mi naona progression ikiwa hivi. I think you start from a good foundation of cultural values. Something that binds us together. No, something that brings me and you together. Now, that good cultural foundation is a creation for good ethics and good values. And then these good values translate into, personal development, ambition, nini, and most of all, merit. A culture that values merit, of course, grows. Now, one difference between us and China is merit. We don't value merit culturally, and that's why we elevate people regardless of their character values, character traits. Unaona, mtu anaweza kuwa hana the best foundation, tunam elevate because probably they have money ama something of the sort. But I think Mwafreeka ame make the point without making it. At the end of the day, it is the foundation is morality. Good morality abhors corruption, because corruption is theft, and theft is a moral issue. No, a moral society does not tolerate theft. Now, what you're saying is we tolerate theft, so we are an immoral people or amoral people, because we do not associate it. We do not associate corruption with immorality, but it is immoral. So you can't divorce corruption from immorality, because it's an immoral act, and we have to have a basis of morality so that we know what to value and what not to value. What to put worth in, what not to put worth in, what is degenerate, what is good. As a society, what is a good foundation for law? All these things have a foundation in morality. At least that's what I think. It's up for debate. Because even atheists wanasema wako na a foundation for morality yenye ni very different from a religious backing. Now, that is very true. But ukiangalia, for example, in the Chinese example, they have a very good foundation in philosophy, very good foundation in cultural values, family values. It's everything. Their foundation is the family. So we also have to look at where do these ideals come from, because they do have ideals. They might not be the same as us. Ama zinaweza kuwa hazitoki from the same base as us, but do we agree on them at the base? No, because if we're all about family, they're all about family. Basically, somewhere along the way, tuliachana na the Chinese, and you're true, it has nothing to do with religion. Although, to be fair, America is credited to develop because of religious values. Kuna kitabu imeandikwa inaitwa The Protestant Work Ethic, enye wanasema ni why America developed is because they came and developed this ethic that they got from biblical values. So I don't know, it's up for debate, but people will decide.
about morals, because I hate this moral discussion. I hate this, the fact that Kenyans are so easily distracted. That mse kama Muhammad Ali from nowhere atakam like, we are bringing up a bill on anti-homosexuality, and I'm there thinking, have I ever seen two dudes in the middle of town fucking? No, sijaiona. So why is it? It's not a problem. It's bullshit. It's nakumbuka ile, like, create a problem that's not there. But have I seen the impact of corruption? Yes, I've seen. And let me bring up another story. How have I seen the impact of corruption? Kumbuka tulikuja hii trip ya US. So hii trip ya US, don't forget, I paid for my own ticket, okay, through Linebet, but I paid for the ticket. After that, every place nimeenda has been fund sponsored. Iko nini funds? Najua. Nivile nasomaga like iko nini funds are the best of the best. So I'll talk about those Hall of Famers baadaye. But in the time tulikuwa Atlanta, Jambi Koikai wrote a post and she talked to the president and she was asking about research for endometriosis and what and what. What happened? As we speak, hakuna hosi ya endometriosis, but do you know what we have? We have $1 billion every year to renovate State House. State House si nyumba ya Ruto. Najua, at some point after 10 years he's going to have to move out. Si yake. Asa wanamdanganya he can change the constitution. That shit is gone. You will not be able to change the constitution in Kenya unless uko ready kuchapa kila mtu risasi. That's not going to happen. So this place is your house for a maximum of 10 years. How are you going to spend $1 billion every year in a country that does not have hospitals? Msawesikizaga iko nini? Go and check. Utaonaga every time I talk about things, I bring hospitals first. I never even bring up schools. Mwanzaga na hospitals. Because hospitals, kwa ushaenda Kenyatta unuka kaa kifo. Like ukiingia tu hivi, there's a stench of death that flows through Kenyatta. Kenyatta is not renovated with $1 billion every year. But somehow, the African is ready for State House to be renovated for $1 billion. You know why? Because Ruto told you he's a Christian. So since he's a Christian, oh shit, fuck. The problem is the homosexuals. Look, they're fucking. Where are they fucking? You can't see them. But $1 billion is being spent. So, oh, Demakadedi. Nacheki, like, okay, the last post that she did, if I'm not wrong, was that post where she appealed to the president. Itumbi has come out and said, rest in peace. The president has not acknowledged her death. Utasema she's too small. But that's the difference between easy countries, tuko kama hii. I wouldn't say Eastern countries, but Western countries. This is the difference between now a Western country and an African country. If such a situation had happened where Biden alikuwa ameandikiwa na mtu, if that person died, Biden would have acknowledged, like, hey, Isa, and even pretended, oh, we'll try and do something about it. Even if they don't do something, we have to respect the individual. So, nitaka mtonge Jambi even more, because I worked with Jambi. But now we come back to history and morals. So now you come to such a society, and you see, you can put out your phone inje, no one steals it. So you can walk at night, hakuna nini, like in some neighborhoods, of course not the ghettos, but kuna hizi neighborhoods zote. CBD hauwezi tembea katikati ya usiku na feel safe. You'll feel some type of way. CBD za hapo unaweza tembea. Alafu una notice the few things. Tumekam tukaambiwa miti zina belong in Karen, Runda, whatever. You notice hapa everywhere kuna miti. No such little things that these motherfuckers, they stole so much that they turned Nairobi into a concrete jungle. They just built and built and built. Na tukakam tukazoea that watoi kukosa playgrounds is normal, wanini kukosa. I have another very interesting difference between the first world, because these things you observe, msameishi hapa states ajui, because umekuwa, this is your normal. I'm coming from the outside, I'm seeing, and then I'm going out. All of the things you'll notice, if you go to the parks, unachiki Uhuru Park, ukienda Uhuru Park, uende Central Park, uende City Park. Aya ni si Central Park, waka City Park, uende hiyo park ingine imenipotelea. Akina Jacaranda, Jivanji that is, utapata wasa wanalala. You see, why? Because sleep helps you. Sleep helps to clear your thoughts. If you come to country kama America, if you go to the parks, you see adults playing frisbee, mtu ana ride bike, mtu ana what, because people are happy. You see, but as an African ama as a Kenyan, we've been told being poor is normal. So umse analala Jivanji, hajui analala juu ya State House. Like all the 5 fucking presidents in Kenya have done nothing for him. That's why he's sleeping there. Alafu mtu asema the president is not supposed to do anything for you. the president is supposed to create opportunities for you, and that can't only happen through taxes. Hii bullshit mnaambiwa.
Before I get into the next one, let me address those issues kidogo. First of all, it's very sad what happened to Njambi. Very, very sad, and we should be ashamed of ourselves because we've let the country um, down like that. We've let our people down like that, and I think personally, I think we should take some responsibility in this because we do the elections. We, you know, through our ignorance or lack of it, participation or lack of it, we back these policies. Unaona, we back them. We back the leaders who put these policies forward. We back them. We support them. These are our people. Now, the issue of society, morality, and values, I think we can't ignore the aspect of cultural values and how they determine what kind of society we have. The issue of theft, the issue of homosexuality, the issue of parks. Kwangu, these are all cultural issues. If we expect a president to come in or leaders to come in and care about parks, more than we do, then I think that is wrong. We have to care about them first. We have to care about these amenities first, these facilities first, and then this cascades now upward into what the leadership value, because the leader can only represent what you elect him to represent. Now, Miss Waitangi actually leaders, I call them elected representatives because they're supposed to represent our priorities. Kazi yake ni kuziput huko mbele. Naona, kuziput huko mbele, kuziarticulate, get a team of researchers, waone what is possible, what is not possible, what is fundable in the moment, ama what can be pushed forward maybe a year or two down the line, 5 years down the line, ama and put your discussion huko mbele. But our work is to care to begin with. Now, are there issues that we can that can be addressed now? Yes. But at the end of the day, mi nafikiria these issues start culturally. They start with us. We have to bear some responsibility for what is happening around our communities. Now, at the end there, Mwaf said it's a job of the president to create opportunities. Apo, I disagree with you completely. Presidents don't create opportunities. We create opportunities. You have created an opportunity with this channel. It might grow to become a media empire. Then you employ 100 people. Unaona, president atakuwa amecreate an opportunity aje. In fact, kuna a quote, I can't remember ilisemwa wapi, but wanasemanga the biggest problem of governments is that they respond to problems of the past. So wewe kama create an opportunity, create a company, nini, then these issues that are seen in that process, the government will come in and try to address it, maybe because of fairness, which is, of course, some of the things that we give government to do, address maybe discrimination, fairness, some legal issues. But those are the issues you've faced in the past. Ukimuvu huko mbele, you will face different issues, and governments are not usually never able to catch up. They're not able to deal with issues of the future. Personally, I believe we need to have a very small government so we don't address the issues of a government having to create opportunities. We create opportunities. If, for example, naonanga some of the big podcasts ziko na cameramen, ziko na producers, ziko na nini, those opportunities were created by the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs create opportunities, and those are the people we should value. Those are the people we should put forward. Those are the people that we should, lift up your spirit na your culture, entrepreneurship, so that we have more creators, more makers, and therefore more opportunities. But governments do not create opportunities.
And this goes out to all the presidents from Kenyatta to Nani. They never created opportunities. They're supposed to create opportunities. Those opportunities are not there. That's why to make associate parks like Jivanji, Uhuru Park, City Park with jobless people. And you find people sleeping there because people are sad. Unafikiria msana lala saa 7 mchana. He's happy. He's not happy. And he's tried everything. There's no one hiring. That's another thing. Unatembea hapa. Like, Ningekuwa mse wa kuhepa, ningeshahepa Seattle na ningekuwa na job saa hizi, because everywhere you go now hiring. What's the last time you saw now hiring in Kenya? Ni siku gani? Then kuna fala iko Mwaf, what you see is, oh, America is not perfect. I've not said it's not perfect. I've not said it's perfect. Of course it's not. I still believe there's a mass shooter around the corner. There's always that mass shooter hapo kwa corner. So you always nacheki, like mi nikiwa kwa airport ya States ndio mu feel safe kabisa, cause mujuaga like shit, Warabu walifanya these places are secure as fuck, like oh shit, hakuna kitu najaribu. So nikiwa kwa airport, but nikiwa kwa place ka Walmart and what, I'm always afraid kuna ka white boy fulani maybe kanaweza amua, ama kuna Mwarabu fulani, and yani some bullshit can happen. So yes, I know America is not perfect. I'm just trying to say, where is the black man's paradise? Where is the Kenyan's paradise?
The Kenyan's paradise is we create the paradise. We create the paradise. Unaona, once again, I'll because kumeendelea na hiyo nini opportunities. Presidents Mwafreeka do not create opportunities. I would love to have this opportunity, maybe kuingia kwa one of your lives, or even, talk with you. But presidents and governments do not create opportunities. Actually, that is why kuna the election cycle, and that's why it needs to be short, so that we can evaluate different policies within hizo timelines ya venye zimewaka. Now, most of the regulations actually come to destroy jobs. No, and that's why unaona employers association, sijui bankers association are coming out and saying this thing is going to kill jobs. Most regulations do not create new jobs. Of course, they create new jobs in the new authority that comes up to create new rules for that industry. So 10 jobs for 1,000 jobs. They come kill 1,000 jobs, then they create 10 new jobs for the regulators, na sijui nini, or the enforcers and whatnot. But we are the people that create jobs. We create opportunities. We will create our own paradise when we stop depending on the government to do these things for us. Actually, that's what unaonanga. For example, in the US, kuna the conservatives versus the Democrats, the liberals. Now, conservatives, their platform is usually less government, less regulation, lower taxes. Now, the minute unaona regulation imekuwa lowered and the tax kumekuwa na tax cuts, all of a sudden investors come in and invest in those places. And that's why I actually wish counties were 100% independent, so that we can see these shifts. Because ukiona in the US, for example, kuna pro-business states na kuna states that are not pro-business with their heavy regulation and heavy taxes. And you can see the shift in real time where businesses want to invest. It's not the government, through maybe bad policy ama nini, either shifts the market by chasing some investors away ama pulling some investors in. Unaona Nairobi Stock Exchange, sijui nini, some shift happens, in foreign investors wote wana pull away. Unaona? But these investors are what makes the stock exchange work. It's not the government that makes it work. The 52 companies that are listed, it's not the government that is making them work. Those are private investors who did their own thing. But unakuta the shifts in policy, which are mostly more destructive than creative, ndio zina affect, zina create these changes that we see.
How are we supposed to feel when a Kenyan president stands in front of you and tells you there are jobs in another country? And you, since you support the president, you see nothing wrong with that. Sana kuambianiaje? Kuna jobs place ingine. Yeah? Wewe wife wako akiwa na nyege unaweza mwambia kuna day kingine huko nje. Wewe ndio unamshughulikia. So this is what I'm saying, like the more tunaishi kwa hii country, hizi country zetu tumekam tuka accept mediocrity. And apart from mediocrity, tumekam tuka accept being distracted with non-issues. So when I did my rant, ile time when I made the homosexuality analogy, tukapan camera kwa nataka kukuonyesha, unaona wasa wanatembea place kama States, because unajua it's land of the free, so people are walking. So out of those people walking, you'll find there's like a homosexual, you'll find there's a straight person, you'll find there's like a trans. Saizi kwanza Atlanta is fucked up, yani it's shit. Kuna dem tumepanda naye flight tukikuja hivi jo alikuwa ni dude, but land of the free, she's allowed to be wherever she is. Why? Because they focus on the bigger picture. The bigger picture is, are there jobs? Are there opportunities? Are there what? Sisi Kenya demkaa huyo tunizama udem kwa nini anakaa boy, udem ni homo, acha tumchape. Alafu mafala ziko acha tumchape. We focus on an issues. Another very interesting thing, poleni nenda kukohoa, chani kunywe. Another very interesting thing imehappen kwa hiyo flight. So vile tumeland New York, kulikuwa na two people. There was the pilot was like a white guy, and then kulikuwa na ule au mademu ongea blah blah blah. So the dem alikuwa black and
Okay, so that we don't miss that issue. Mwafrika, you're very right. You're very right. Tuna focus on non-issues. Hapo, on that point, you're right. But also pia, kuna stages of cultural development. Now, yes, America is the land of the free, but kuna something in the US called the Overton window, where wanna address the issues of the day. The issue of homosexuality and trans was not always accepted. In fact, every president akiulizwa alikuwa naingia, do you support gay marriage? Obama aliingia not supporting gay marriage. He supported it, I think, in his previous term. Biden ameingia supporting gay marriage. Trump aliingia supporting gay marriage. So there was a time when gay marriage was an issue that was squarely in the Overton window. Now, as a president, you have to address it. If you don't address it, you miss the point, ama you miss very many voters who could have gone with you for your other policies, but you've missed this very important social issue. And that is what I think to need to address. That yes, this is an issue now, but kuna vitu zenye ziko in the Overton window. Now inaweza kuwa we are missing some issues there, but for some people it could be an issue of the day. Unaona? For me and you, yes, I agree. It's an issue currently, we don't need to deal with it. It shouldn't even be something enye iko taken into parliament. Lakini kuna issues that are in the Overton window of the day, and social issues zinafaa kuwa also addressed because they're part of the Overton window. As much as a politician and address policy, wataishi wakifosiwa ku address a certain social issue. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Na I don't know, maybe inaweza kuwa we are wrong. I think we should also try to understand, are there people out there who think this is an important issue to address? Because as much as we agree it's not an issue for us today or a priority today, it could be a priority for many other people or the constituents of that MP. Now, it's important pia kujua we're not alone in that policy discussion. So tuna need to also give understanding and to listen to the other side kusikia, okay, what is it that makes this an issue currently? Na tunaweza discuss aje so that we arrive at a level where tuna put some priorities, unaona, for what the politician can do. So I think kwangu hiyo ndio the message. We need to also understand what is the nini out there, what is the situation out there. Are there more people who think this is an issue than the ones who do not? Because if it is an issue, na si tunaishi in a bubble where we think it's not an issue, then also pia kuna disconnect between us and other people who participate in the policy sphere. So I think kwangu Mwafrika, it would be easier for you to conduct a poll kujua how big of an issue is this kwa people who are voting out there. Inaweza kuwa si an issue for you, but we also need to extend the hand kidogo.
There's something the black girl said. Of course, pilot ilikuwa very smooth flight blah blah blah, so he did his job really well. So but kuna kitu udem alisema, I hope you enjoyed your flight blah blah blah. If you're connecting to another country, enda hivi. If you're if you've reached home, welcome home. And as you go out there, be kind to one another. Remember nikisikia udem amesema hivyo, be kind to one another. This is something we never take, like especially sisi as men. Inasemekana tumekam tukasahulika, like we go through so much in life that that's why men commit more suicide, men commit what nacheki. So every time you have an opportunity to be kind to someone, be kind to them. And there might be people who don't live like you, like nature is fucked up. Buddha, kuna time video ilitokea lion mbili zikidinyana kwa forever. So nature
actually that was debunked, lakini
is
let's
not
stay on
perfect.
point.
The minute you bring religious texts, that's when you start lying to yourself that nature is perfect. watu zaliwagwa na deformities and all that bullshit. But yes, let's go back to your be kind to each other. Alafu, let's go back to the bigger picture. Like, I don't care what you do as an individual. I care what we do as a collective. Are we creating the opportunities? Watoi wetu, ushajiuliza, where are we going to get the next wanyama? Especially kikam to Nairobi. Hakuna space za kucheza games. Mi nikiwa mtoi, every block kulikuwa na space in between. Like, there used to be places for kids to play. These public places were all grabbed and houses were built on top. Right now, kids don't have that shit. Where are we going? Do you know how much sports does? Like, wanyama might be a billionaire.
True.
Najua hivyo, wanyama might be a billionaire. Olunga, by the time I retire, will be a billionaire. That's sports. There are no spaces for kids to play. You come to these countries, the ones that we are copying, there are places for kids to play. There are places for adults to play. Sisi kama adults, we were taught, when him say, you're an adult, why are you playing? Acheki, na tukakubali. There's the famous saying, you don't become old. You don't stop playing because you become old. You become old because you stop playing. Unakama hapo unaona tu adults playing. Kuna interview fulani nimedu, sana naitwa Mr. K4, nikaduna dem anaitwa Gendi na nikaduna Karao, like a law enforcement officer, but like a Kenyan who came here to be a law enforcement. Those are 3 videos. I shot them in the same location. Wait for them. You'll see an old white guy and an old and a younger black woman is riding their bike. Walikuwa naenda tizi yao ya jioni. Nacheki. So African leaders wamekama wakatunyang'anya humanity. But
I don't know. I don't know. I will also disagree with you hapa Mwaf kidogo. Now, Mwafreeka amesema these public spaces were grabbed and the importance of sports, which is very true. Where I disagree with you is that across the world, hautapata any successful government-owned sports organization. These are things that are individually owned ama community-owned. Unaona? For example, wanasemanga Arsenal sits the most profitable. I think Arsenal ni one of the ventures enye partly owned by the community and ni very successful. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm getting my facts wrong. My point is this: these things are owned locally by people like you and me. Now, Kenya, to be very honest with you, we don't care about sports. It's not an African leader issue. We don't care about old people exercise. We don't care about parks. We don't care about childhood development as far as, sports and other activities are concerned. We don't care. If we cared, it would be reflected in our own actions first. Our own actions na our own priorities. Before taifike kwa leaders, I don't think the leaders have anything to do with this, because sadly, leaders are a reflection of us. Sadly. Now, easy vitu zote as okay, let me grant that maybe public land ili grab you and could have been used for that purpose. But we let it happen. Unaona? We let it happen. Zilikuwa grabbed in our watch, because at the end of the day, sisi ndio the biggest watchdog of the government. In fact, it's our duty. Unaona, one of the founding fathers of America, Thomas Jefferson, alisema, it is our duty, unaona, to protect liberty. It is our duty to protect liberty. Now, as that means we failed in our duty to watch over the government, over the actions of these leaders. How can we call them leaders when they lead us to destruction? Unaona? How can we call them leaders and then tutasema wait till 2024, 2027 tutakutoa? I mean, we're not doing anything, because we are the ones who will live with these consequences. Tutaishi maisha mbaya, tutaishi in this concrete jungle, tutaishi without parks. Unaona? They hawatapata enough money to probably move to a country that has those amenities that were not created by the government. Unaona? Man U is not owned by the government. NBA, none of those NBA teams are owned by the government. Unaona? Or even supported by the government. Unaona? Those stadiums are owned by individuals. Yes, kuna tax incentives na nini na policies. Ama niliona, for example, in the US, kuna, I think, some policy where maybe a stadium is built by tax money and then inalisiwa to a billionaire to run it. Kitu kaa hiyo. I'm not very sure. My point is, we have to incentivize the people who care about these things to put their money in it. Unaona, this these initiatives are owned by us, by people like you and me. Harambee Stars ni yetu, unaona, si ya serikali. Mimi na wewe ndo tunafaa kwenda kuona games. I don't think Harambee Stars inaweza jaza, which is a big stadium we can think about. Tukisema Kenyan fan base, Harambee Stars iende icheze, I don't think tunaweza jaza Emirates. Unaona, like a 60, 50, 80,000 capacity stadium of Kenyans watching. I don't think so. Unaona, and even if, and then of course kuna all the other issues about TV rights. Ni nani atalipa, for example DSTV, if they gave pay-per-view for a Harambee Stars match, maybe 500 bob. Ni watu wangapi wanalipa 500 bob kuona a Harambee Stars game? Because that is money that goes to the team. We own these initiatives, and I think tunafaa tu kushift mindset to taking over these things, and unajua to shift from this is a government thing ama a leader thing to an us thing, unaona, and then I think things will start to change. Watu wengi wata disagree with mimi on that point, but I think hizi chwani kidogo zenye tunaendanga tunapea team, hiyo ndo tuna grow the team, unaona. Us waiting for government to fund that team, tutapoteza hiyo teams. Actually hivyo ndo Kenyan teams wa zinakufa. Zero fan base, zero community support, zero community engagement on both sides, unaona. Hivyo ndo hizi team wa zinakufa.
Come to accept not having jobs is okay, not having food is okay, not having opportunities is okay, and corruption is okay. Alafu ile time tuka accept corruption is okay, wakajua every time unataka kuzusha will bring up an issue and then will distract you. Acheki itakuwa like wacha tuambia mafala hivi, alafu oh shit, this is what then wasona jam, tunachukua tuko morally upright, tuko what, but it's not okay. So when you are in such countries, like I'm coming back of course na travel, because I'm one of the lucky few. Meet a lot of Kenyans here, and they've told me one thing, that if I had something to do in Kenya, I'd not be here. So I'm one of the lucky few people who I have something to do in Kenya, so I don't need to be here. But I know this place can be very good for a lot of people. Yes, unagai wachile video ya the Kenyan American Home, tikikwambia wewe kuja tu hapa ukao na usafa. I know this place can be very good. We try to imagine you have nothing, you've had nothing in Kenya, then we see now hiring. It might be minimum wage, you might be living, but at least you'll have food in your stomach. Right now in Kenya, you might not even have that food in your stomach. So, and these things, we've normalized them. We've normalized that the police are supposed to be corrupt. Check history ya Ian Njoroge, umecheki it may happen. Moja wale makara walimuarrest that night. Alafu, my apologies for thinking he was wearing the same clothes. One of the cops who arrested him that night has been arrested for robbery with violence. Are you seeing the society I was talking about? Like, we are very dishonest people. And when you call out this shit, people say, oh, we unafanya hivi, unafanya. We should not accept it bullshit. And true. I know sometimes you accept it because it's
very, very true. Very, very true. Apple may hit it on the head, kabisa. We are very dishonest people. We should not accept this, but it starts from us. It starts from us, but you're very, very right, Mwaf. Now that is the point.
You think the guy is from your tribe, so he somehow, this motherfucker does not care about tribe. Like, these Kenyan motherfuckers don't care about tribe. Now let's talk about corruption. What has happened today? Sudi has been found not guilty. Why? Because they collected evidence wrongly. Washaisikia kesi Kenya ati mtu anakuwa acquitted because they collected evidence wrongly. So
actually it happens. It may happen quite a bit. Najua of 2 cases where that has happened, where cases are thrown out on a technicality. So it does happen.
Fuck, we'll talk about that. Hiyo ni story tabonga na Ian. Tukitoka kwa Sudi, kuna kabuda fulani pia kutoka Masai za Rift Valley, because this shit is about the rich at a certain level protecting themselves. Kabuda, I think ni the former Kenya blah blah blah, found not guilty pia. There was not enough evidence for corruption. Corruption is the problem. Usikuwe distracted na issues. Alafu vile usemaga kutembea kwingi kuwa na mengi. Hii trip imeni sad because I know Africa can do better, but I also know we'll never do better, because I know the average Kenyan will be distracted with bullshit. the average Kenyan ukimwambia mtoi wako anafaa kuget free education, alafu mwambie ni aje, kuna ile ile kanisa inataka kufungwa, wafungue club, tunakosea Mungu heshima, wacha tuende tupiganie. Mtoi wako endi chuo jo. Stop the bullshit. We get distracted super easily. So I don't know if there's hope. I don't think there's hope if you are to ask.
Okay. Na agree with you. Corruption is a massive issue and it is the issue. But now, hapo ndio mahali citizen engagement inatokeanga. It's hii kitu unafanya saa hii. That is, kuna mind ya mtu una change. There's someone's mind you're changing. There's someone you're influencing. So if you do more of that and another person does some of that kidogo and I do a bit of that, kwenda tu nje kuongea na watu in our casual conversations, kuongea about hizi issues and how they affect us at a community level, at a local level, that is how minds are changed. Of course, the leaders and the politicians and the whatnot, they'll keep protecting themselves. Yo haita change. They won't turn good all of a sudden. It's up to us to create and maintain the system we want, not up to anyone else. To keep put your responsibility on someone else will always fail. But thank you very much, Mwafreeka manze. That was a crazy rant. Nime like all those issues you've brought up and talked about. I disagree with some of them. I agree with you on some of the issues, giving context. But we are on a good path. I think with more anger like this and passion like this, then more people can start to wake up. More people can start to wake up and hopefully we can turn this tide. Thank you very much.